Next to the latest in the war between Israel and Hamas, there appears to be a new snag in ceasefire talks. And this morning, the UN's human rights chief is again warning the fighting in Gaza could explode into a regional war.
The war in Gaza has already generated dangerous spillover in neighboring countries, and I'm deeply concerned that in this powder keg, any spark could lead to a much broader conflagration.
We're also watching for any news of the first Canadian airdrop of aid into Gaza. That could come in the next few days. The U.S. parachuted more than 30,000 meals into Gaza over the weekend. As we were reporting last Wednesday, a source with knowledge of the planning told CBC News the first Canadian airdrop would happen within a week. That source says Canada is considering a number of options, but has ruled out using a Royal Canadian Air Force plane. Aid is a key issue in the ongoing negotiations for a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas. Abby Kugathasan has the latest on those talks. Abby, we know that negotiations have shifted now to Cairo. What is the latest? Because we're hearing some reporting that an Israeli demand is holding up progress.
Heather, still no deal on crucial talks in Egypt this weekend, as you say, but an Israeli delegation was not there. And that's because Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reportedly needed 2 answers from Hamas, but received no response. The first, clarity on how many Palestinian detainees Hamas wants for an exchange. The second demand, a list of surviving Israeli hostages. But a Hamas official told the BBC they can't provide a list without a pause in fighting because the hostages are with different groups in different areas. Now, there are also Israeli media reports that anger is simmering in the Israeli war cabinet that he asked for this list. Some feel it could be an unnecessary deal breaker that Netanyahu's now thrown a monkey wrench into the proceedings. Hamas, though, also called for a permanent ceasefire before any hostages are released. That's another issue where we're seeing wide gaps. Now, this is all being watched very closely by desperate family members of hostages who say that they have one goal, one hope.
It's like a hell, you know. We are in some of a loop since the October 7th. We are living this day every day again and again. We have only one goal all these days, to bring him back alive to his family, to his children. This is the only thing that matters.
Now, inside Gaza, the Israeli bombardment continues. More than 30,500 Palestinians have been killed, including 14 members of this woman's family, Rania Abu Ansa's family. They were killed in an IDF airstrike, she said, while they were sleeping. She lost her husband and her twin babies. She had tried for more than a decade to have children. Naeem and Wissam were born about a week after this war began. Rania had been hoping for a ceasefire, but anguish for her, Heather, and so many others, that one did not come.
Abby, the United States, the Biden administration, obviously a key player in this diplomatic push for a ceasefire agreement. This morning, something to watch of interest. A key member of Israel's war cabinet, Benny Gantz, is in Washington today. Now, tell us about him, why he's a significant figure, and what the purpose of his U.S. visit could be.
Yeah, he's not only a member of the Israeli war cabinet, he's Netanyahu's main political rival. He's the centrist opposition leader, and he's expected to meet with Vice President Kamala Harris and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan and other U.S. officials. Now, there are reports this morning that Netanyahu is absolutely furious about this visit. An official with Netanyahu's party says the trip was not authorized by the prime minister at all. So this highlighting publicly divisions within Israel's crucial war cabinet. But this trip could also widen the rift between Biden and Netanyahu. The U.S. president, as we know, has been quite critical of Netanyahu's military operation in Gaza, calling it indiscriminate bombing. And on Sunday, Vice President Harris highlighting some of that messaging, particularly around the need for aid to enter Gaza.
Given the immense scale of suffering in Gaza, there must be an immediate ceasefire. For at least the next 6 weeks, which is what is currently on the table. This will get the hostages out and get a significant amount of aid in.
The UN says more than 500,000 people are on the brink of famine. That U.S. airdrop this weekend bringing some fresh criticism for the Biden administration for arming Israel on the one hand, but trying to indicate that it's helping Palestinians with airdrops like this one, when aid groups have repeatedly called for a ceasefire and hundreds of aid trucks to enter the enclave every single day, Heather.
Abby, thank you very much. And again, we await further information on Canada's plan for a similar aid drop. We'll bring that as we get any new detail. Thank you, Abby Kugadhasan.